My partner's dream car has always been a newer Mazda MX-5, but it's always been unattainable. But she might just be able to afford it if we buy a crashed one.
The only problem is it's 1,700 kilometers away. It's all the way down in Melbourne and we live in the Gold Coast. So this is Julian.
Hi.
Get yourself a friend like Julian. I called him and told him that I needed a place to store a crashed car for a few weeks while I tried to work out how to get it back to the Gold Coast. He said, say no more, I'll stick it to the grandparents.
You can drive the car?
Yeah.
What we didn't know at this point was just how bad the damage would turn out to be. So I packed my bags, and by bags, I mean car parts, jumped on a plane as quick as I could, and after a beautiful landing, finally made it to Melbourne.
Here it is, the 2016 Mazda Miata. This is everything wrong with the MX-5. On the front here, obviously we're gonna need a new crash bar, air condenser, radiator, and radiator fan. This whole piece I do plan on replacing eventually, but I think for now, if we can maybe pull this out and just get it in a point where I can actually drive this back, I'll be happy enough with that for today. On this side of the crash bar, you've got a crash sensor. Usually this has a metal plate in front of it. And as you can see, when it's hit, it's cut through some of these wires too. Battery's currently out of the car because I don't want to put the battery in and try and start this thing with those wires being hit because I don't want the airbags to go off. Now, probably the most frustrating thing about this car is one, it didn't come with a bumper, but two, there's hood actuators here. Now, what happens is, if a pedestrian is hit by the car, the actuators fire, popping the bonnet up and letting the pedestrian roll onto it. It keeps them a little bit safer. Problem is, on our car, at the auction, you couldn't tell it had gone off. Someone's done a bit of a cheeky and zip-tied the hood hinges back so you couldn't see it, and not only that, they've actually removed the actuators from the car. Now, normal listings look like this. It's obvious that it's gone off, and if I had known that it was going to go off, I probably wouldn't have bought the car. This was a massive oversight on my part and has just increased the cost of this rebuild by a lot. Those hood actuators are $1,000 each, brand new from Mazda, which is really frustrating, and the cheapest I could find them from a wrecker is $770. So that one's frustrating. On the inside, we got pretty lucky. It was actually pretty dirty, but other than that, it looks pretty good. There was a bit of a crack in the infotainment system, but aside from that, it looked pretty clean. And just thankfully, none of the airbags went off. That would have been a big cost. And it's a 6-speed manual. One thing I find really interesting about the MX-5s is there's actually this piece, which is like, it's like the paint color on the outside, on the inside. I find that really interesting. To pop the soft top on, you just lift that, lift the soft top over, and then pull that latch there, and then you got your soft top on. On the PPSR, which like says what is wrong with the car, it is marked as structural damage, and that is because this is actually a structural piece, because just here it is spot welded onto the frame of the car. The chassis rails are also marked. So structural damage on chassis legs is a big job. Just like on the S3 I just repaired, if this has structural damage to the chassis legs, we're gonna have to get this thing professionally fixed and put on a jig, which would blow the repair cost way out of proportion. But just because they're marked as structural damage doesn't mean that they're bent. So first things first, let's measure those chassis legs and check if they're okay. Off come the headlights. With a little bit, ew, I hate spiders. Okay, with a better look at the chassis rails just here, the good thing is I can't see like any kinks. And again with this one, I can't see any kinks or anything, which is a really good sign.
First of all, we got to do the crash detection sensor. Now, as you can see, it's a bit munged up. Obviously it was set off, and that's why the hood actuators went off and did that. So if we put the battery in now, there's a risk that this is gonna trip and it's gonna set off some more airbags. Oh God. Past point of no return.
At this point, we're going to cut and strip the wires on the loom end and then on the new piece.
Gonna do the same on that.
And after a quick coffee break,
Great coffee.
We're going to pull the soldering iron out and join those two wires. Then we're going to move the heat shrink over the wires to keep them insulated and heat them up with a lighter. That's going to make sure it shrinks down and cups the wires really tight.
These wires are still a bit exposed, but we don't have any electrical tape to tape that up. We'll come back to that, but for now we're going to move on to taking the crash bar off. This is the dumbest looking extensions. Is this coming off in 2 parts or?
This is held together by styrofoam, lad.
Oh my god.
Oh, I mean, it's just shrapnel. Look at that. Look at
That is mental. That's a big hit. Did we just cut it off?
Yeah, God, this.
It pays to have the proper. Oh no. Stamp. There we go.
You!
Alright, right now we're gonna give the chassis rails a measure. We're gonna measure from one point to one of the bolts on the strut tower, and from that one to one of the bolts on the strut tower, and just double check that they are in line, because if they're not, then we need to get them pulled to be straight. So this is probably gonna be the best test to see whether or not they're relatively straight. If this crash bar actually bolts up, or if the holes line up. That's pretty much perfectly lined up on mine.
Yeah, there's.
They're
Yeah, that's it. It's dead on.
dead on. The one thing that I can't do myself is gonna be those rails. This is not a accurate way to do this at all, but it will
is a
give
way.
Yeah, it will give us an idea. Where did I put the, pretty much 1370. Again, 1370 on the dot. So, these rails are straight. Woo.
Thankfully, now that the chassis rails are straight, it's time to move on to the radiator support. Now, this is a structural piece and has taken a big hit. As you can see here, the hood latch has bent all the way in, meaning we can't even latch it on the second latch. And given that I've got to drive this thing 1,700 kilometers, we want to make sure it does that. So let's give it a pull. Now, yes, this might look a little ridiculous, but the accident has caused the metal to be so brittle, we can literally pull it back by hand. And remember, this is only temporary. We will be replacing that entire piece. Let's pull the radiator and the air condenser out.
Today we're going to talk about radiators.
Do you remember the post-game interviews from Thailand?
Yeah. Jamie, pull that out. I was seasick.
Post-match review, how you doing?
Yeah, it was a good dress. Lucky I'm experienced,
This shit got me good.
Yeah, so the post-game interview is where you put the camera you turn your phone on, you put your flash on, and you put in 0.5, and then you start asking them questions while they're blackout.
If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing. This is built, not bought, where I rebuild crash damaged cars. This is not just a one-time thing. And as soon as this MX-5 is done, I'm straight on to the next one. And we still have so much more to do. Keep in mind, I still need to drive 1,700 kilometers and surprise my girlfriend with it.
That is
That is mangled
messed up. Look at the back.
That is mangled up. Check this out. So, as you can see, with a bit of manual persuasion, we've managed to get this. Hey, it's there enough. So originally we would only hold with this one here, but now give this a listen. So that was latch 1, latch 2, and then
We're gonna put the new radiator back in, start to build everything back up, put the new crash bar on, and then we have this battery.
a torched battery.
Yeah, this battery is probably pretty cooked. It is charging, but it's been charging for days, so we might be able to get the car started, but we're probably still gonna have to get a new,
But that's fine.
yeah, get a new battery, but yeah.
Battery test.
This is a broken fan. All right.
Yeah, no, she's fine, man. Just chuck her back in.
Okay, it is now nighttime. It is freezing in a big ass snow jacket. Also in a snow jacket. And the very first thing we're gonna do is transfer all of the stuff from the bad radiator that we still need onto the good radiator. Now, while we were putting the rad pack all together, we realized something that was actually worse than I make it sound here. We did also just find some additional damage on this structural piece just here. You can see that's been given a fair whack. Essentially what this means is fixing a second structural part of the car. Now, I already planned to do this with the radiator support, so it's not too bad, but it is frustrating and you've got to tear down a fair amount of the car to be able to get to this point. Should we take that piece off on the front? They're rolling. Throwback gag. I make this stuff look really easy, but in reality, there's a lot of stuffing around when it comes to this. This took us a very long time on small things, but that's just what happens when you're working on cars. After a while, everything was buttoned up though.
Pretty minor hiccups, all in all. It's definitely not the hardest day of fixing a car we've ever had.
Knock wood.
Knock wood. It's definitely not the hardest, and thus far, not the most devastating. It's been pretty, all in all, been pretty solid. Got Jeremy lowering the car now. Now we just need to set up that little crash sensor, hook that back up where it belongs, and then we can give it a start and see what happens.
So we started off putting the crash bar back in, and then straight away we moved on to that crash sensor. Now at this point we had no idea whether or not the car actually started. So we got Julian to put the battery back in and, well, see what happens. All right, everything's connected. The AC doesn't have any coolant in it, but it's all connected.
Brace yourself for the airbag to kick you in the skull.
Don't do that. Should I sit in here? Ready?
Yep. You shat yourself.
Oh, dude. How good's that? Thankfully, we got lucky and the engine was all good. Now, you gotta still be careful when you're buying these sight unseen. You never know what the previous owner's done to them. It's 50-50. Now that we know the engine's all good, we're gonna top it up with coolant, let the car run up to temperature and just make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. We haven't put anything on wrong. And now Julian's gonna roll the car back and forth just to give the gearbox a little bit of a test. Don't do that. There is a... Oh. There's 11:40, we're gonna roll it in. And then in the morning, we're gonna button up those last few things and yeah, get it ready for hopefully a road trip. And we're back up ready for the journey. Well, kind of. See, last night I started to get a bit worried that I was going to drive this car all the way to the Gold Coast without a front bumper. And they've been extremely hard to find. But last night I was doing my research and I found out there is like a specialist Mazda wrecker 3 minutes from where this car is parked. And a brand new bumper was only $660. Along with that, they did have a hood for 880 Australian, which I thought was a pretty good price. We are up to the final stretch here, and this is going to be a massive test for the MX-5. You can see I've already stripped down everything on the bonnet, and that is because we are going to need to use that for the new one. Now, because the bonnet's so big, we're going to take this one off, zip tie the front bumper, and then actually drive over and install the new hood over there. It is windy as hell, but we do have the hood put on. I did have a bit of trouble with the radiator support being still too far pushed back. I couldn't get the hood to latch properly. In the end, I had to get a couple washers and push the hood latch back to get it a bit further back. I'm in for probably a 24-hour trip doing this with some sleep. I'll give you an update on how the car's doing in a little bit. This is a drive I've done a handful of times now, and every single time I get done with it, I say, that's it, never again. That drive is way too long, and it's just so exhausting. But I gotta admit, it is calm, and it gives you plenty of time to listen to your favorite podcasts. All right, So far, I am 15 hours away in Euroa. And the car is doing pretty well. I did have a bit of a mishap where I pulled into a service station. I could hear like a noise. I thought it was coming from the back. Under here, you can see all this is all scuffed up, and that's because I forgot to zip tie this bit and this bit. So this had just flipped down and was like being just grated against the road. But aside from that, to think that just 2 weeks ago this car was purchased, I'm pretty impressed with just how far this has come in such a short time. Now, I haven't eaten too much today, so it is time for the dirty bird. One more thing, you know, as I've grown older, I've had less and less friends, but the quality of the friends that I do have has just gotten better as time goes on. So I don't know, all I'm trying to say is surround yourself with the right people. You know, like ones that'll let you store a car at their house for a couple of weeks until you come get it.
As night started to fall, I started to look at the sky, slowly getting darker. I was just kind of appreciating the scenery and how everything looked. The drive was going smoothly, and as it turned to night, I was actually really enjoying myself. Don't get me wrong, I was getting really tired and I needed to sleep, but I don't know, it was quiet, calm. It was actually soothing in a way. Alright, it is 1 in the morning and I have made it to Orumba rest stop, which is still 8 hours away from home. I'm tired. I'll sleep in the car. I'll see you soon. That was a pretty average sleep. I think I got maybe about 5 hours. Yeah, not the best, but look, it'll keep me going for now. We're on our way to pick up some hood actuators. So we just stopped up in Moorland at a post office just there, and we have the we've got the hood actuators. So these are what actually pops up on the bonnet and are missing. How's the car running? All in all, it's actually pretty good. I wasn't sure if I put enough coolant in, but it does look like it is fine. I still think this car needs a bit of an alignment because it is a bit twitchy when going left to right. I'm still about 5.5 hours away. I really need to find a toilet, so I'll see when we get there. All right, finally, we've got it back home. Jasmine is on her way here now, and I can't wait to show it to her. Now, all of this has happened so fast. To get to this point from the way it was, it's literally been less than 2 weeks. Now, I couldn't have done this without Julian, and I'm very grateful to Jasmine for having the faith in me that I can do this for a reasonable price. All in all, the car looks pretty good, but there still is a fair bit to go. But you'll see that in the next video. Let's see what she says.
Oh my goodness, that's my car! I'm gonna turn it on.
Put your foot on the brake and the clutch.
Oh! To the roar of that engine.
It's still a bit dusty, we're gonna have to give it a... Well, I'm
Oh, this cold. Oh, this cold. This my car.
Yeah, this is yours.
Something is just not the same. I haven't been thinking about.
Did you just fart on my microphone?